Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Passions Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the soap opera of passions. I'm your regular host, back today with our three greatest hosts. Like, I'm so excited to see the dream team here to talk about passions with me today. We got Maria, we got Uche, and we got Eric. How y'all doing?
Feeling good.
I'm excited. I'm thrilled, and I do have a question for you all. Do you all think that Trojan condoms protect against vagina dentata from a succubus?
From the succubus? Does it protect against a demon coming into your dick and giving you a venereal disease? I'm not sure. I think they probably draw the line somewhere around hell, right? Like,
probably.
Well,
yeah, I think the protection level just drops off there.
That makes sense.
The service ends.
That makes sense.
98% against pregnancy, no percent against hell spawn, right?
Yeah. But the big question, is it ribbed for her pleasure?
Yeah, so y'all, we're about to have a great time. I'm so excited. This is the finale for the season. This is our last episode until after the summertime. And so I thought it would be a really fun idea to get three of our guest hosts that we see a lot to come in and do my job for me.
We're taking over, y'all.
Yeah, so I'm so excited. We watched episodes 696 through 700.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And I'm just so glad that I have some people to talk to this week because it's been a struggle. It's been a struggle, but it should be a good time today. So before we get into the episode, I'm going to give my shout outs to the patrons over on Patreon, 3 of which are right here with me today. Thank you to Munashe, Bree Lynn, Lisa, Sid, Sarana, Randall, Hannah, Camelia, Samantha, Jeanette, Eric, Fantasia, Sean S., Larissa, Maria, George Lopez-Fitzgerald, Lisa, Jessica Jean, Laura, Karen, Uche, Paige, Casey, Garanch, Tom, Shawnette, Pablo, Steve, Daisy, and Shane. Thank you all so much for being patrons. And if you're not a patron yet, you can still go over to the Patreon and sign up. We're not going to be doing much over the summer, and you won't be charged. But if you want to go ahead and sign up, go for it. It's Passions Podcast. No, it's patreon.com/Passions Podcast. And
what happened to what's his name? I got the game, or I dropped the game, or something.
The game dropped me. I lost the game. I lost the game.
I lost the game. Oh,
I lost the game. We lost the game.
The game came and the game went, and I lost, I guess. He came up, he or she, whoever they are, got on my Patreon to make me say I lost the game. Only to cancel their subscription, which I said it like a bunch of times, but it is what it is. I got the money and it's fine. That's what matters.
That's it.
Yeah. So if you're out there, I lost the game. I don't care that you. No, I'm joking.
What a way to acknowledge this on the finale, right, of the season. That's great.
That's so funny because I feel like that's one. It's such a conspicuous name, right? Like all the other ones, for the most part, you wouldn't necessarily notice when somebody drops in, drops out.
Right.
But that one is like, yeah, what happened to that one?
Right?
Yeah, it's pretty noticeable. So,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I got a little cold that I picked up at work. So,
being around people, it'll do it to you.
I was like, oh, I'm not gonna be working with kids anymore. I'm not gonna have to worry about getting sick as much. And immediately I got a cold. So, I might have to cough a little bit here and there, but we're gonna have a good time. So let's start today with magic, the magic storyline. Let me see if I got my music. Where's the music? The names on here are so tiny and I can't tell, like, because I can't see, and they're all the same color. So anyway, let's get into some magic, y'all. It was a fun week with magic. A lot of the other stuff was a lot of recap, but magic was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So let's pick it up where Kay has shown up to Tabitha's house to oh wait, no. Kay is talking to Zombie Charity. That's where I'm at. Kay is warning the zombie Charity to stay away from Miguel, right? And these two girls are kind of arguing back and forth. Kay saying, you need to stay away from Miguel. I made you. I can destroy you. And the zombie's like, okay, then do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah, Monica and Brandy. The boy is mine.
Boy is mine. And of course, Grace interrupts, is like, what's going on out here? And they both kind of pretend like nothing's going on.
We're best friends. Everything is fine.
Exactly. And so the two of them both excuse themselves and say they're gonna go to bed, right? Then Sam and Grace talk to each other, and Grace, as usual, is talking shit about Kay. I wish Sam would stand up for his daughter a little bit more, right?
Well, I get why she feels this way, but give her some. I mean, it's your kid, like, or check in on her. Maybe like ask her like some like questions about why she's feeling this way or why is she acting this way. It is just like that's the way Kay is, and that's it. And it's like you're not even checking on her.
Yeah.
Well, they know why she's acting that way is because they know that she's trying to get Miguel, and they disapprove of her doing that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Kay had just had a conversation with her mom where she basically bared her soul to her and said, you know, Mom, I am in love with Miguel and it's tearing me apart. And then Grace blew her the fuck off. She rolled her eyes. She blew her off. And then they never circled back to that conversation. She just told her, like, you just think you're in love. Like, you're just infatuated. I'm sure you really care for him a lot, but you're not in love. She negated her own daughter's feelings. And so the fact that she is now having a conversation with Sam where she's just like, again, saying she disapproves of Kay wanting to be with Miguel, it's like, you haven't even had a conversation with your child about it. Like, I don't know. It just, and she's 16 and she's having these huge feelings. You would think that her mother would have a little bit more empathy for her in this moment.
Also, who is she to judge her? Who is she to judge her when the Kay still has not had this like fixing of her walking in kissing, watching Grace kiss David.
Right.
So like there has not been any resolution there. So I don't know why Grace is like, my daughter's a whore. It's like, where do you get off?
Girl, you got a son, question mark, with some man that you don't even remember. And we're talking about Kay being a hoe? Like no, I'm sorry. What happened?
Think about what that does to a child's psyche. Like, and I think Kay has been dropping little hints about like how unhappy she is with these new additions to her family, right? She's like, oh, first we got Charity, then we get Ethan, now there's you, John, right? And she already felt like the black sheep in her home before Charity ever even showed up. And her parents know that, and they never do anything to try and validate her and make her feel like, oh no, we really love you and we see you.
Yeah.
So, anyway, they're talking shit about their daughter, saying that they disapprove of her trying to go after Miguel, and she says like, yeah, she finally told me that she has feelings for Miguel, and I just hope she doesn't take it out on sweet innocent Charity. She just doesn't do it for me. Meanwhile, upstairs, Kay catches up with Charity to finish their conversation, right? And she tells her, I'm gonna get rid of you. As soon as I find that book of spells, you're out of here, honey. I brought you in this world, I can take you out. The zombie is just taunting Kay, and then Kay slaps her, and I loved it.
Oh, it was good.
It was one of the good slaps that we've seen.
Yeah, because I haven't seen Kay slap anybody. Oh, that's not true. She slapped Simone. I forgot about that.
She slapped Simone.
Yeah, that was real fucked up. That was back when I was way off of Team K. I didn't like Kay at all back then. But she slapped her. So yeah, she slaps Zombie, and then Zombie is like, bitch, and she starts zapping her with lightning.
Yes.
And again, a reminder, she does have Tabitha's powers, right? That is our understanding. So she's able to. I mean, I don't think I'd mess with the zombie anymore after I get electrocuted.
Right.
But Kay, it didn't bother Kay. Kay was like,
she tackles her. She tackles her onto the bed, and then they start to like tussle on the bed, right? And so there's this big commotion. They're yelling at each other, And Sam and Grace come upstairs like, what the hell is going on in here? And Zombie's like, oh, we were just having a pillow fight, right, Kay? And she takes a pillow and she slams it in the Kay's face. And Kay's like, yeah, we were just having a pillow fight. She slams the pillow right in her face too. It was great. Grace is like, fine, just keep it down, and leaves. What happens next? Who wants to take over now?
I guess we could jump over for a little bit because we do get a happy helping of Tabitha and Timmy. So they're kind of like trying to take a little break, right? They're like trying to just kind of chill out. And they recap that Tabitha has burned the book, so there is no way of stopping Zombie Charity. She did it because they need to be on the dark side, the evil side, the boys in the basement, all of that stuff. But with that, they do a lot of recapping, and that is around the time that Kay will end up coming around.
Yes.
But
Right.
it's just a long conversation between Tabitha and Timmy talking about everything that has happened, and Timmy being upset about where Charity's at and that Miguel might die.
And
Yeah.
it's the conversation between them also is sweet and interesting because Timmy's trying to get Tabitha to really explain to him why she would ever burn that book, and she is kind of refusing to tell him it's because I love you, but she finally does say it. She's like, it's because I love you and I don't want to see you die, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when she's
He
getting
didn't
some,
believe
yeah,
her though. He didn't believe her. He's like, I can't believe that you would choose me over the magic.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah.
but it's because she keeps she had a vision, or the zombie
the
showed her, or
scroll
the scroll showed her.
showed
Oh,
her
yeah.
that if Timmy tries to destroy or tries to use the book to destroy the zombie, he would die. It
There it
showed
is.
him lifeless laying there, and so she went around the house trying to hide it, and the vision would never change. So that's why she burned it, thinking that the vision would change, but she never saw it, the scroll again after that. So
Yeah.
I think at that point she figured like, oh, okay, like,
yeah, it's destroyed. Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah, so yeah, let's talk about Kay showing up. Yes, Kay shows up. She looks for the book. She asks for the book, and Tabitha tells her, I don't know, I haven't seen that. Maybe check upstairs, because at this point we see the book come out of the fire, extinguish itself, right, and it's floating around the house trying to get somebody's attention. But they don't want, for some reason, I didn't understand this. And maybe I just missed it. Maybe there was an explanation and I sped past it. But Tabitha, for some reason, doesn't want Kay to get the book. But you would think that she would want Kay to get the book and keep it out of Timmy's hands.
So she doesn't want her to get the book because she knows that she wants to destroy the zombie. And Tabitha wants the zombie around to cause havoc. So she doesn't want her to stop.
But does she want the zombie around? The zombie is threatening to kill her.
Yeah, I wish they would prioritize Tabitha's like motives, because you would think that Tabitha would want to reclaim her powers.
Right, that's
but
what I
then
was thinking.
Yeah, but then at the same point, you're also hoping that, I'm assuming Tabitha's like, well, if Miguel's dead, there is no fornicating with the real Charity, and therefore she won't come into her full powers and then kill Tabitha and Timmy.
Yeah, that's true. My only thing is she has made it clear that if the zombie is destroyed, then the real Charity will be destroyed as well. So then there wouldn't be a chance of Charity getting it on with
Miguel, the first
Miguel either.
Yeah.
So to me, it just would make sense for her to say, okay, the scroll said that if Timmy does anything with the spell book, he would die. But it didn't say that if Kay did anything with the spell book, that Timmy would die. And I do want to getting rid of the zombie would be in my best interest. You would think that she would just let Kay do the spell again, but whatever, that's not what she's doing. So I'm gonna stop litigating it.
The beauty of this podcast, where we talk about all the rules that make sense or make no sense.
So it's funny, she sends her up to the attic to look for the book because they can see the book floating around. So she sends her in the opposite direction of the book. The book's floating around. Timmy's just like jumping up trying to get it. He finally catches it, and he just goes on a joyride around. This would be such a good like amusement park ride, right?
Yeah.
Like a ride through Tabitha's like old haunted house on a magic book.
You know what it reminded me of is like in Monsters Inc. when they've got like all the doors floating through. I was like, this is exactly it. It's just like you'd be writing the book and Timmy's out there being like, guys, come on this way.
Yeah. So Tabitha finds the tiniest broom ever seen and starts swatting at him to try and get him down. I think she does finally get him down, and then no. The book ends up somewhere with Fluffy. Because the next time we see Timmy, he comes back, he's like covered in scratches. He's like, Fluffy's got the book.
Tabitha sort of flung it at Fluffy so that Timmy couldn't get to it. But Timmy went after. And then I was going to ask, what was that? Like his he's a real boy, so he shouldn't be shredding like cotton and stuff. So what was that?
I thought the same thing. I'm gonna assume it's fur. That's what But it was funny because Tabitha couldn't swat down Timmy with that broom, that she got on top of something and like jumped across to like knock it down. But yeah, she gave it to Fluffy, to which I wrote some. I was like, what are my notes saying? And I was like, oh yeah, Fluffy fucks up Timmy.
Yeah.
To which Timmy's like, if Fluffy didn't have 8 more lives, Timmy would have taken him down once and for all.
Yeah.
But he can't get to the book of spells.
Of energy.
Yeah.
So that was all great. Kay comes back, can't find the book, but she does stop to thank Tabitha. She gives her like a heartfelt like, thank you, Tabitha, for your advice that you gave me. I'm gonna go after Miguel. And she said something to the effect of, I know it's not evil to go after the things that I want because of the advice that you gave me, right?
Yeah.
And it was sweet because I need to stop making excuses for these evil bitches.
Listen, but it's so fun.
It's okay. It's okay. Emphasis on K.
Soap opera.
Yeah, because it's like, I don't know. Something about that apology made me feel like Kay doesn't want to do bad things, right? She's been pushed into a corner. She didn't want anybody to get hurt, with the exception of Charity. And she was going to let Charity out once she had Miguel.
She acted like she had a way to release people. So, like, I mean,
I don't know.
Love. Think about it. She's in a situation where her mom doesn't have her back. Her dad's not standing up for her. So, like, for her, she's craving someone to just love her. And it's weird that she's getting it from a next door neighbor who happens to be a witch that shows more concern for Kay than her own family. Like, she's getting all these siblings. None of these siblings seems to, like, they're always like, where's Charity? No one's asking about Kay. Then again, no one's also asking about Jessica. Where is Jessica?
Justice for Jessica.
The age-old question. Where is Jessica?
That is such a good question. Where is Jessica? Because we get everybody of all of the Bennetts this week except for her. We even get Reese. That's crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Where's Jessica? That you make a great point though, Maria, that Tabitha gives her some validation that she should be getting from her parents or her family. And it's nice to see. It's nice to see this is a kid who needs somebody to tell her, yeah, you're doing the right thing, or, I understand why you're doing what you're doing, right?
Yeah, somebody other than Dress for Less Ross, so.
Yeah. Ross is dressed for less. I have some cute little dresses from Ross. I'm not even gonna lie.
Hey, I was just at Ross the other day, and if I look around the room, there's probably a lot of Ross stuff here. So
the thing about Ross,
no shame.
The thing about Ross is you have to be in the right state of mind to walk in that store, and you gotta be ready to do battle.
Breathe in, breathe out.
Yeah. Now keep me alive. Right? In these mountains of $2 dresses that everybody's fighting for. But all right, so Kay says a heartfelt thank you to Tabitha, and she goes home. Let's quickly talk about what's going on with the zombie. So the zombie has decided to sneak out of the house and go and seduce Miguel. Okay, so she goes to his house. She spies on him through the window. Of course, he's shirtless. He's like doing push-ups or sit-ups. He was like doing some kind of cardio.
Gratuitous.
Yeah.
He was working,
shots, and he's only in his boxers.
Yeah. I have to work on his V.
Yeah, he was getting to work on that V. What do they call? Oh, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say what they call them. I was like, what do they call those? And now I remember what they call them. Y'all all know.
Yep.
All right. Okay, so he's working on those things that should not be named, and she's spying on him through the window. And she's just like lusting after him, like he's such a hot hunk. I'm gonna make him all mine. And she says, once we've done the deed, he'll be dead. And she says, hello, sweaty sheets. Adios, Miguel. And I thought that was just so funny.
Again, we rag on Charity a lot, but I just want to shout out to the actress. She's fantastic. She's funny. She's charming. It's goofy, and we don't get a lot of that from regular Charity. So for her to be able to play this, I'm hoping, I'm for darn sure she probably had a lot of fun with this.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. I bet she had so much fun doing this because it is more fun to watch for sure. And I will say, when Molly or Charity first shows up, it's like, what? This girl's a wet rag. It's not enjoyable. So it does make you think, ooh, maybe she's not such a good actress. But you do see once they give her something to actually do, she's great.
I'm starting to think my crush was on evil Charity or zombie Charity and not specifically Charity.
I could see
starting
that
to make a little bit more sense.
That would make a lot more sense. I could see that. She's so hypersexualized.
Right? Oh God.
Well, we find out she's really a succubi. So I guess she was never a zombie. She was always a succubi. That kind of confused me.
Or maybe she anamorphed into one. I don't know.
I think anamorph.
Like when the
I think that the writers it's like interchangeable for them because basically so when Kay goes home, Ross shows up and he shows up with a book about the occult and mythology, right? And they're looking through the book and he shows her a page. Is like, oh, look, this is a female demon called a succubus. And a male demon is called an incubus, which I used to listen to Incubus and I did not know that was what that was. when he said, I was like, oh, huh.
Interesting.
But yeah, he says that a female demon is a succubus. So I think that she's just a female demon and that was called into the world to do Kay's bidding, so they called her a zombie. But I don't think, because she's not a zombie in the classical sense at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So,
well, and it's because like what the word zombie is originally like you're getting somebody to do your bidding, so that right. But then we know zombies as like the Walking Dead, not Living Dead.
That's exactly right. So I think they're just using interchangeable terms because I think they're using the word zombie as like she's just an entity that's going to do whatever I want her to do. She's like a mindless entity, but that entity happens to be a succubus, right? Like that's her race for all intents and purposes. Zombie goes over to Miguel's house, knocks on the window and lets herself in and just starts seducing this man. I mean, heavy and hard.
Before we get to that, why is it every time they're together, his first instinct is, you want to go get some hot chocolate?
Oh my God, yeah.
There was an abundance of cocoa and hot chocolate in these episodes.
This episode was sponsored by Nestle. I mean, like, I was like, where are the marshmallows? What's going on?
That is so funny. Yeah, as soon as she shows up, he's like, oh, Charity, I tried to call you. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. You want to go? Let me get some clothes on and I'll take you to get some hot chocolate in the middle of the night.
Thank you.
Where are y'all going?
Yeah.
Where are y'all going to get hot chocolate?
Yeah, he didn't want the moment to just come and go. He wanted it not to be Nesquik. So he was like, let me stall. These are the jokes, people. These are the jokes.
Do I have a rim shot? I think I do. Wait.
A what?
A rim shot.
A rim shot.
We've gotten on the border of being very dirty today, and we keep hanging in there on that border.
There it is. I do have a rim shot.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Versus what Zombie Charity's ready for. A different kind of shot.
A different kind of rim shot, actually. So let's talk about it. This girl goes in and she is ready for action. Do you hear me? She is kissing him very passionately, rubbing all on him. He loves it, right? But he's like, slow down. I just want to get to know you. Like, slow down for me.
He almost
And
seems a little scared. Like he kind of doesn't want to do it. Like he kept coming up
Mhm.
with so many excuses not to do it.
to be fair, Miguel is a virgin, right? Miguel, it's his first time too. They always talk about
Mhm.
like, oh, Charity, I wanted to your first time to be special. I want your first time to be special. But I
Right.
think Miguel wants his first time to be special too. You know what I
I
mean?
will say he was acting really well in this. Like I really
Mhm.
believe like he was uncomfortable and
Yeah.
well, I do and I don't, I do and I don't. I loved at least him being like, I don't know if I want to do this in my mom's house. What if my mom shows up? Like this is like the
Yeah.
first time I feel like any of the kids are actually thinking about like the outside consequences.
Well, the thing is, Miguel was making a lot of excuses because it didn't seem like he wanted to do it, but he didn't want to do it, right?
And I think he knows that this is not charity either. Like it's
Like his subconscious is definitely telling him something's
yeah.
off.
For
Yeah.
sure. On some level, he's like, this ain't right. Like
Well,
the
she's been treating you like shit for weeks, and now she's like, let's get it on.
yeah,
Yeah.
now she's so horny for your dick. Like, no, that's weird. So yeah, she's trying to get him to have sex with her, and he's like trying to slow it down. Well, first he's like, I don't have protection, and she's like, oh, I do. She
I
brings it, and you know what? I'm all about this because that's how I roll too. Because
Yeah.
so many men are so it's so easy for them to like get you there, and they're like, oh, actually I don't have protection. Oh, really? You thought wrong. Look in that side drawer right there. There's plenty.
Let's
for you.
go.
You figured us out. You figured it out.
Find
Yeah.
your size.
Yeah.
Because the last thing y'all are not about to pass your chlamydia on to me. Let me be
But see,
clear.
Ew.
Passions teaches a lot of bad lessons, but one of the good ones was always be protected. Even if you are a zombie or demon succubus,
Mhm. I
always
learned
have protection.
I learned that women should always protect themselves because you cannot trust men to do it for you. So it's good that Zombie Charity, she's a feminist, okay? Okay, so
I-
yeah, she
I
brought
was
out
gonna
her
say, I
own.
do appreciate that she wants to be protected from him, the way around.
Right. I think she knew that he was gonna say that, right? Like
Oh,
she
yeah.
definitely would have had sex with him unprotected. She's a demon,
yeah.
and what does she care? He's gonna die after she's done.
I also
right?
Right.
I also like to think that Tabitha's powers allow her to just manifest condoms whenever she needs them.
Of course.
Also,
Of course.
very true. Very true. But can we talk about the fact that she's about to be turning 18 because they're already talking about planning her 18th
Her
birthday. Are we to believe that Miguel has reached his 18th birthday, or like
I think
because
so.
at some point, once you're past 18, then we're technically talking about statutory rape.
Yeah.
Because
It depends on the age of consent. It depends on the age of consent. I don't know what the age of consent in Massachusetts is, but it might be 16. You know,
Yeah.
the age of consent in
Technically-
different states is different.
Technically, this charity's only been alive for like a couple months. So.
Yeah, she's a baby.
She's also a demon, so maybe like dog
They
years
age differently.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
Demon years.
the
It's
Book of
deep.
Shadows, which is
Right.
Charmed. I was gonna say whatever the spell book says, that maybe there's a rule in there somewhere.
Yeah, she's in demon years. So yeah, they're getting hot and heavy. Miguel's making a lot of excuses. Yeah, he says, I'm not comfortable doing this in my mom's house. Let me see if Reese can let me borrow his family's lake house. He gets up to go out, and the door just blows shut by itself. And he's like, what the hell? How did that happen? And she's like, oh, it must have been the wind. He's like, the window's closed. She's like, I don't know. Just come
She's
back to
like,
bed.
it doesn't matter. Let's get it on. Let's go.
Yeah. So she's just kissing him on the neck and seducing him, caressing his bare chest. And he pretty much gives in. And as they're getting heavier and hotter, he asks her, like, are you sure you're ready? She tells him, I want you to make love to me all night long. And Miguel again tries to put a stop to it a few times. He really does. He's like, I really
Again,
want
good for Miguel.
I
Good
really
for
want your
Miguel.
first time to be
check.
special. I know this is how you wanted it. But she's like, no, this is perfect. This is perfect. Well, Kay, let's go back to what's going on with Kay. Kay is at the house. I told y'all about how Reese has told her about the succubus and all of that. And In the book, it also told her that if a succubus has sex with a man, a human person, that they will die. So this is when she learns that that is what zombie Charity is up to, right? So she goes upstairs because she's been thinking this entire time that the zombie was in bed.
Right.
Which, girl, it's a demon. That demon doesn't need to sleep.
Yeah.
Why would you think it stayed in bed? You didn't. Like, y'all were both faking it.
Yeah.
So she goes up to check on the zombie, realizes the zombie is not in her room, runs out to find Miguel, right? To go find them. She gets there, sees them kind of getting hot and heavy through the window, which if y'all are gonna have sex, close the curtains.
Yeah. Especially that he's on the first floor.
At
Right.
your mama's house.
At your mama's house. That's
This
it.
is when I usually say, ugh, white people. But well, maybe it's his Fitzgerald half, because my mom is always like, in scary movies, why do white people always have their curtains open? And I'm like, I don't
Listen,
know.
That
But
is
it's-
so real, because anytime, like, I'll be driving through a city, right? And I'll be like, well, I should not be able to see all the way into your home.
You can literally see what people are watching on television. I'm like,
Oh my God, that's so scary to me. And I like, even in New York, which is crazy to me, I'll be walking in like nicer parts of Brooklyn, and I can just see into people's houses, into your nice ass house. Anybody? Oh no, it's crazy to me. That's wild. So yeah, the curtains open is ridiculous. So they're getting it on. Kay is watching from the outside, and she's trying to figure out how she can put a stop to it, but she's like, I can't tell Miguel the truth. I can't tell him that I put real Charity on ice and created this zombie, and it's gonna kill him if he has sex with it, right? So she struggles with what to do. And at one point, Miguel and Charity are like getting on, and Miguel stops again, and he's like, something's not right. Something's very wrong. And he gets up, and they have the same conversation they've been having. I wanted to be special for you, yada yada. But this time, Charity or Zombie sees Kay outside the window, right? Oh my gosh, this thing. She's so mean. Which, I mean, it's a demon, so of course she's so mean. But she says to Miguel, because he has stopped, because he's like, this isn't right. Like, I know this isn't how you wanted it. And she's like, you're right. I've just been feeling so insecure lately because of the premonitions I've been having. I want to make for sure that you are not in love with Kay, that you have no feelings for Kay. And he goes on this long rant about how Kay's his buddy. We're just friends. She's really like one of the guys. I would never date her.
It's the most heartbreaking friend zone speech you could ever hear. I think about like getting on a three-way phone call and like somebody patching you in, and you stay quiet to see if they liked you. This is old technology, people. But when you are like, do they like me or not? And then they tell you hear, not that I have this experience at all, but that like she's hearing this guy say, and she really thought she made some road in. Headway. Perfect. Yeah. She really thought she did something, and to hear all of that. Now she does get a little bit of like a little inkling. Miguel says something like, we've got closer now. We are closer.
He said,
but go ahead.
I'll be honest with you, when you were pushing me away, Kay and I did get closer, but she's like one of the guys, and to see her like a girlfriend would be a real stretch. That's what he says. And of course, Kay has her own memory of him literally telling her that he was going to ask her out before Charity showed up to town. Not to mention that man has kissed her 3 times. So, since Charity has shown up.
Yep.
Yeah.
But again,
He's
guys say
denying
stupid.
a bit of his feelings here. Like, he's trying to smooth it out and just be like, oh, Charity is here. Like, Charity is my focus. She is my world. She is my life. But like, there is something within Miguel that does care about her, obviously. But it is more than the friendship level.
This is a very, it's to me, somewhat mirrors the Beth, Sheridan, Luis situation, right? Luis definitely cares for Beth, and to a certain extent loves her, and right now is like trying to like love her, right? But he had like this great passionate love, this great connection with Sheridan. I think it's the same thing with Miguel, where they just love they blondes and they just throw the brunettes off to the side. He he really has this great connection that he thinks with Charity, and has this great like passionate love with her, versus Kay, who he really likes and cares for and probably could grow to love. You know what? It actually also kind of mirrors the Sam Ivy Grace situation in a way too. Oh my gosh, they really put these blondes on a pedestal on this show. I just realized.
That is if the blondes have more fun.
That's what they say.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, that's what they say. I mean, real Charity certainly ain't having no fun.
Yeah.
No. Poor thing.
Okay, so he basically denies that he would ever have any real feelings for Kay. It crushes Kay, who's standing outside the window. Miguel then goes to get something. I don't know. Oh, I do know what he went and got. It was stupid. He's like, I want to go get something to make this more special. He leaves. Zombie Charity goes over to the window and basically is like, what are you doing here? You know, and they have their same old little conversation back and forth. She really just pours salt in Kay's wounds. Like, you heard him. He doesn't even like you, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to have sex with him and there's nothing you can do about it.
There was a great line where she's like, "Oh my God, you're pure evil," and she's like, 24 carats.
Yeah,
that was a very good. Oh,
yeah,
Maria, thank you.
That.
Yeah,
that was a good one.
So Miguel comes back with the thing that's gonna make this night so much more romantic, and it's a singular flower.
Oh, I thought it was a cup of hot cocoa. Because apparently that is an aphrodisiac in harmony.
Yeah. So, and they just start doing it again. Y'all have anything else to add? That's the end of my notes.
I was just gonna say, in terms of like visual aids for the listeners, we do get some some castings of shadows with the two of them on top of each other, and like she has like devil wings spread out of her. There's a moment where her hand is like creepy and has long nails. Like Miguel even mentions being like, "Ow, your nails scratched me," and she, when we pan out of that, her hand is normal. So we do get this idea like she is a man eater.
Yeah.
To quote Nelly Furtado.
Man eater, make him I don't know what those words are. I never can understand Nelly Furtado. I don't know what that lady be saying.
She's like a bird.
She's like a bird. She only flies away.
And there was this great line where Reese is talking to Tabitha and Timmy about the succubi, and Timmy goes, "A sucky what?" And I just thought that was so cute.
Yeah, that was cute. Oh, cute
there
Timmy.
There was one moment with Timmy too when he like he asked I think he was asking Tabitha like, "Oh, what's the thing?" And he was like, "Wait, not that." Like, when he realized like it was this like that they have to have sex, he was like, "Oh no."
Yeah, he's like, "Oh goodness." Clutching his pearls. Yeah.
Poor
so cute. It's so interesting. Yesterday, when I was recording the podcast yesterday, with my niece, we were talking about Timmy, and she doesn't know anything about this show really, right? So we were talking about like Timmy possibly dying, right, because of the scroll and the vision on the scroll. And she was like, "Yeah, I really hope Timmy doesn't die." And I was like, "Oh my God." It just, I know, and I had to break it to her in real time. So be looking out for that when y'all see it this week. Yeah, I had to break it to her in real time, and she's like, "What?" Yeah, I was like, "Yeah, it's unfortunate." So, yeah. Anyway, y'all ready to move on to little Sheridan and Luis? Little Sheridan.
Blah, blah.
Yeah, y'all listen, let me, oh God, I hate this storyline so much. Really.
The four of us just like dreading going into this. It's just making my heart so happy.
I cannot stand this storyline. I'm sick to death of Diana, whatever her last name might be. I am sick to death of Brian. Honestly and truthfully, Luis isn't doing it for me lately either. It's like either grieve or like get off my screen, but like the fighting with himself about Sheridan is dead. Sheridan is dead. I don't want to. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of watching people. You know what it is really with Luis? I'm really more tired of seeing other people trying to force him to grieve faster and move on faster. That's really more what it is. So it's hard to watch him really clearly forcing himself to do something that is really unnatural for him.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's uncomfortable. And I feel bad for Beth. Like for right now, I feel bad for Beth.
Say that. I actually do feel bad for Beth because she's also doing it, trying to do it at his pace too. She's not pushing him. She's just making herself available and there.
Right.
And like just waiting for him. But it's sad watching her waiting because he still hasn't finished grieving.
Yeah. And so let's talk about let's talk about what's going on because I have some other things to say about these people, but let's talk about the action of the episode. So Luis, we pick up and Luis is packing for his trip to Bermuda because remember y'all, he won a trip to Bermuda from the Lobster Shack. They were doing a special lobster contest and Hank actually was the one who won the contest, but he switched plates with Luis to force him to go back to Bermuda, the place where he lost the love of his life just a few months ago.
There's someone who's so focused on him moving past like Bermuda and Sheridan. Why would you want him, like of all the places for him to like win this contest to go to? It's Bermuda. Like you take it. You use your own money and send your buddy somewhere else.
Exactly.
So focused because it's like, of course, no matter what happens, he's gonna have these emotions. He's gonna have these feelings. So you sitting here being like, yeah, you need to move on. You need to move on. By the way, go back to Bermuda where you lost the love of your life. Like,
literally go sleep in the exact same bed y'all were sleeping in before. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Or take your ex-girlfriend and hopefully you have feelings for your ex-girlfriend again.
Yeah, you can just fill in the blank with Beth. It's fine.
I will say that I know that doesn't happen in the.
Wait, Maria, what did you say?
Yes.
I said that, basically like you loved her before, you could love her again.
Eric, what did you say?
I was going to say, this wasn't in this week, but I did enjoy the reaction of Hank's girlfriend when she realized that he threw away that trip.
That girl was not his girlfriend. Let's talk about this real quick. Girl, he had just picked her up at the bar. So the fact that she was so upset, girl, he shouldn't have been taking you on that trip anyway. Like
y'all just met.
I would have had the same reaction. I would have had the same reaction. I've been like, I like to win, and I would have felt like because we came as a duo, that was half of my prize. It would totally Hank won it by himself, but I know myself. I'm a Leo. I would have been really upset that they gave my prize away.
That's real Leo energy for real. Yeah, for sure. The fact that she got so upset, I don't even know if I even mentioned it on the last episode because I was like, girl,
she honestly had no right. No right. It made me laugh. Did it make me laugh? Yeah. She was
it made me laugh too. I cracked up because she was like, "You blew it, buddy," and he was like, "Oh well." It's like, "Oh well." Okay, so Luis, he's packing for his trip to Bermuda. He gets a phone call from Beth, who's drinking a nice cold drink from Wendy's. We got some nice product placement.
I wrote the same damn thing.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I remember those cups.
That's what I was thinking too. I was like, wow, that's nostalgic. That's what Wendy's used to look like to me. Like, and now even when I think of Wendy's, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, big ass yellow cup.
Yeah.
I wonder after they went to commercial break, Dave Thomas talked.
Probably.
I don't know if he was still alive around that time.
Always fresh, never frozen, square patties. He talks to Beth on the phone and she just wants to double check with him that he's still up for their trip to Bermuda, considering how he probably has some bad feelings around Bermuda because of Sheridan, right? And he says, yeah, I'm still up for it. We're going to have a good time. I want to go. And you're like the only person I would want to go with. It's nice. It's sweet. And then he gets off the phone with her and he talks to his mother, and Pilar comes out with a necklace from that necklace that Antonio brought for her and left when he broke into her house and broke her fucking window, escaping, right?
Which was really from Sheridan.
Right.
Which was really from Sheridan.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. So she shows up with that necklace, gives it to him saying, I really want you to wear this. At one point I thought it might be from Antonio, but I know now that he wasn't here. And that's when Luis comes clean about how actually, Mama, it might be from Antonio because I know he was here because I talked to him. And Pilar, which partially get, Pilar was so just grateful to get news that her son was alive. And I totally understand that. But she should have been madder at Luis.
I had that. I've said this before. It really irritates me. Where I promise you, if I did these very actions to my own mother, she would forgive me, but she would never let me forget it. Like this. I don't know. This is like treacherous. Like it's like you're interfering with my relationship with my son, and I love you both the same. However, this was my decision. So I wanted Pilar. I don't know, like let Pilar can get mad at Rebecca all day long, but you can't let her get mad at her own kid. Like make her human. Like it just irritates me because it's just they could have given Pilar a little bit more three-dimensionality.
And this is why her children are run amok, right? because she just lets them get away with anything without really giving them. I mean, I've seen her slap Teresa a couple of times, and she does get upset with Teresa. But I just feel like, in general, usually, and the only time she ever really gets really, really mad with Teresa or gets to the slap, it's like we've gone way past the point of where you should have had these conversations with her, where she should have been corrected by now, right? And I get it; they're like grown people, but that's still your child, and I'm still your mother, right?
But Luis is the favorite. In my house. It is clear Luis is the favorite. Like like to me, she has a soft spot for him because of everything he's had to go through. Like he had to grow up the quickest because of Martin and Antonio leaving and or fleeing and or assumed dead. So I think that's why she is cutting him a lot of grace.
You know what? You make an excellent point. I bet Pilar has a lot of guilt surrounding Luis. I didn't think about that. I bet she has a ton of guilt around her relationship with Luis because he did have to step up at a young age at no fault of his own, right? And he had to give up a lot of things, and he hasn't lived the life that he could have lived, right?
Yeah. Luis in his head is the father to Teresa and Miguel.
Yeah. I mean, truthfully, if it was not for Antonio leaving and Martin being gone, him and Beth would be together right now. Like, there would be no Sheridan. Like, they would be together. So, like, there's so many feelings there because she knows, she's like, okay, he had to grow up. He gave up, like, his relationship so that he could focus on his family, while she was also, like, being the mom and trying to, do what she needed to do. But, like, he literally stepped up. So for her to just be like, okay, yeah, like, I wish you would have told me he was there, but like, I get it. I can see why.
Yeah, I've decided to give Pilar a pass.
Wow.
Push that applause button. Push that applause button.
Because and then the fact that it was Antonio and she knows he has so much animosity towards Antonio. I'm giving her a pass. So Luis explains to her that he did talk to him on New Year's Eve, that he came to the mansion to see her, but Luis ran Antonio off and ran him away. And Pilar is like, well, that's fine. Let's call him. Where is he? And he's like, I didn't get any contact information. He's just like, oh, it's fine. I mean, I'm just glad to know that he's alive. And then Luis wholeheartedly apologizes to his mother. He says he deeply regrets not giving her the chance to meet up with her son and not giving Antonio the chance to explain himself or defend himself. And he says, if I ever see him again, I promise I will bring him home to see you.
Also, a real Latina mom would have beat his ass as soon as he said all that.
Yeah.
You did what? Like, you didn't even get his phone number?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm giving her a pass. So,
but
tell her other children that, hey, Antonia's alive. Like, will they ever get the news that Antonia?
Oh, I'm sure. Because remember when
Miguel
she thought,
knows.
And remember when she? Oh yeah, Miguel does know.
Oh, he does. Yeah.
Yeah. Luis told him. Luis told him before he told his mother. But
and Teresa's just running around not knowing, so I don't think she knows.
Yeah.
I don't think she cares.
Yeah, and I really don't think she cares.
No, when she finds out, she's gonna be like, "Yeah, that's great. Now I knew he was alive. I've
Cool.
believed that the whole time."
Back to Ethan.
Back to
I
Ethan.
was thinking.
Can Antonio get me Ethan?
Yeah. How can
I like that.
How can I make this work? How can I get some sympathy from Ethan using this situation? Yeah. So, Lord Jesus, where are we? I know where it is. Yeah, they have that whole conversation, and it's at this point that Beth shows up, and she and Luis head off to Bermuda. They get on a flight with a nosy flight attendant as usual.
Annoyed the hell out of me. Why you damn nosy? Like, oh, you're by yourself. Yeah, no, that like she's here asking like, are you going by yourself and stuff, and like she's just being way too nosy about like who you going with, oh, a friend. Oh, okay, well you and him will have a good time, and later on he had to say no, it's a her.
She was shooting her shot.
Why are we having this? Yeah, why are we having this conversation?
That lady was shooting her shot. She saw him get on that flight by himself and was like, oh.
But I read that completely different because I was like, this lady just assumed Luis is gay? Like, that's how I read that.
Oh, no. I read it as she thought he was fine as hell.
Oh.
Yeah. And she's a succubus and she's trying to get her son.
Heck yeah. I was like, what about Luis Lopez-Fitzgerald? You're like, oh, did you bring your man friend with you? I was so confused. I was like, I don't understand this gay joke.
I thought she was thinking like, so you know how when Julian went down, he was like going down and he met all his dude friends down there. Like Bermuda's like the place of fun and adultery and stuff. That's where I thought she was going. Like, so they were going like the two of the friends were going down for a good time. But
it's so funny that we all had interpreted this one pointless interaction so differently.
I totally wrote down, and so what if he's going to Bermuda with Hank, lady?
Oh my God, that's so funny.
They can go be
buddies
bros.
Together. Yeah.
Heterosexual bros.
To me, it was like she wanted to know if he was single and if he was like with a woman or with a man. And she just assumed, she said like, oh, you and your male friend, because she just wanted to get her some of him. She wanted to make sure that he wasn't with another woman. And they were like,
I'm oblivious. Any wonder why I'm single? That's right there. Because those are the interactions I have with people all the time.
When Beth shows up, she's like, oh, you're a lucky lady.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's another clue. I might have fallen asleep when this happened. I might have I know at one point my notes just stopped and I woke up. So
yeah, they take the flight to Bermuda. They have the same old kind of conversation they normally have, right? Where she's like, it's okay if you're grieving, Sheridan, and I just want to be there for you. And he's like, and I just want us to have a good time. We're gonna have a good time in Bermuda. Fine. So they ask about. She asks him, are we gonna have one room or two? And Luis says, we'll just see where the weekend takes us. He says, we'll get 2 rooms and see where the weekend takes us, basically, right? Meanwhile, Diana and what's his name have like the exact same conversation. They are having, Beth and Luis are having parallel experiences and conversations as Diana and Brian on Bermuda. So let's talk about what's going on with Brian and Diana in Bermuda. My God, I really do. Mackenzie, when we talked to her, she was like, yeah, they really hated women on this show, but I am starting to suspect they really hated her because because it's crazy how often she is in like these horrible, perilous situations and is being like brutalized in these shows or in these episodes. So remember, Diana and Brian are on the sailboat headed to Bermuda. Brian's down on in the below deck working on the engine because the boat's having engine trouble, and she's peering out into the water, looking out at the lights of Bermuda, looking at how beautiful everything is, and you can see that railing of the sail right behind her, right next to her head, and of course it swings, pumps her right in the head, and she goes flying overboard, and she's sinking, right? So again, this woman, how many times she have to be drowning in the water? Like, I'm sick of seeing her in danger. I really am. I'm sick of her being the damsel in distress. I am.
But they needed another reason to use the passion's pool.
Yeah.
In the bottle of water.
Like, and to quote Chris Tucker, Sheridan got knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, you got knocked the fuck out. Yeah. Oh dang, where's my rim shot? Yeah, so she gets knocked overboard. Brian's down below like, what was that noise? Oh well, and goes back to just like working on the engine. He finally comes up and he's like, Diana, and then he just like jumps into water and finds her and swims to her. Meanwhile, in the water, when she looks and sees him, she sees Luis pulling her out of the water. He pulls her out of the water. They get up on the boat. She's looking at Luis. She's like, oh my God, it's you. What's your name? He's like, you know my name.
It's SPM.
Yeah. Before she gets pulled out, I don't know if you noticed, but she kisses him.
Oh yeah,
you're drowning. You're gonna kiss somebody? What are we doing?
I missed it entirely because I would have been so annoyed. I'm so glad I
saw
missed
that.
It was an underwater kiss. She pulled him in because she saw it was Luis and started kissing him. You're drowning. What are we doing, Passions?
Yeah,
what are we doing?
That's crazy. So he pulls her out of the water, pulls her up onto the boat. She thinks it's Luis, but it's actually Brian. When the fog, like when the haze lifts and it's Brian there, she is so disappointed.
Oh, yes. I wrote this down. I was like, and let me tell you, this was some deep ass disappointment because she's like, Brian? Like, she put like 8 syllables in the word. There it is. Debbie Downer for sure.
Yeah, she's like, Brian?
There were 8 syllables in the word Brian.
She was so upset that it was him and not Luis. I would be too. I'm not gonna hold you. And so yeah, he pulls her out. She realizes it's Brian, and then she explains that she was seeing her dead lover. Like Uche said before we started recording, Uche was like, I am so sick of them using that phrase dead lover. They use it so much.
Every damn day I hear this thing and I just want to cry. I want to throw rocks. I want to do so many things because it's so stupid. Like,
it is. I thought you were my dead lover. They got to come up with a better phrase.
Honestly, my ex, like my former boyfriend, my old fiance, like my
lost love.
Like,
yeah,
my lost love, but dead lover.
Yeah.
Emphasis on dead who's not actually dead.
Exactly.
We don't even know if he's really dead.
Exactly. Yeah, she doesn't even know that. They just keep saying it. He's just said it so many times to her at this point that she has decided to believe it. Yeah. Right? So yeah, she's like,
when she thought it was Luis, she actually told him, I remember your name, but then immediately forgot when she saw that it was Brian.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't even gonna say anything. I'm so irritated.
Well, obviously, my subconscious and me just being exhausted from the week. My notes. I'm gonna read my notes verbatim. Sheridan saved. Whitney runs out crazying.
What does
Don't know what that means. So I like to.
Oh, I do know what you mean. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what that means.
That goes back to the Teresa.
When
and
Whitney
Okay.
runs out crying.
We'll connect those dots.
Yeah.
Uche, help me connect those dots. Because Sleepy Eric, I'm like, where did Whitney? Whitney just ran out of the boat? Like
You put the note in the wrong place. I do that sometimes.
That's probably what it was.
I do that sometimes, and I'll get to it, and I'll be like, what the hell is this? Who wrote this?
Yeah.
What idiot wrote this?
Yeah.
No, it's like, it's me. But yeah, she's very disappointed. They then have a conversation around whatever, Antonio going back to his family and Harmony. It's recap. She implores him to call his family again. He says maybe. Then she starts getting those Titanic flashbacks, which, by the way, y'all, this is an aside. This has nothing to do with Passions. But I went to see Titanic at City Center this week. Incredible. An incredible show. I didn't know anything going into this show. I had heard the music was good, and I knew it had won Best Musical in like 97. But I had never listened to the music. Y'all, it's stunning. If you get the chance, like find the album, the Broadway recording on like Apple Music or whatever you stream music, listen to it. It is so good. And honestly, I was watching Titanic and like I was watching the show and I was like, Diana, Brian, Luis, what are their names? Liam and Susan?
Liam, Susan, and I don't know.
Yeah, no, I was watching it and I was thinking, they were on that boat, Liam and Susan. Somehow they're connected. Yeah. But yeah, we're getting the Titanic flashback. But yes, if y'all get a chance to go, if you're in New York, go see Titanic at City Center. I think it's playing until the 23rd. But yo, it is incredible. Incredible. Okay, back to Passions. Titanic. Diana's getting Titanic flashbacks and she's like, Brian, you were there too. She finally can see that he was there in her past life. And then she explains that in another life, Brian was the one that pulled her out of the water. And he's not on board with her past life conversation at first until she tells him, yeah, we were married in a past life and we had kids together. Now he's all about it. Right?
And what have we said? He just signs on to the stuff that is convenient for him. Anything else is not a real memory or a real thing.
He's so selfish and self-centered. And so she says in a past life they were happy together, they got married, they had a loving family, and Brian says, we can be that perfect family in this lifetime too. And let's start by sharing one perfect kiss, and then they kiss each other. Ugh. I was not into it at all. And so then they show up to the resort. They also had a conversation about whether they were going to sleep in one room or two. And Brian was like, I want you to be comfortable. Don't worry, we'll get 2 rooms when we get there. Well, they get to the hotel resort and the front desk person is like, oh, there's a mortuary convention in town. We have a shortage of rooms. I can only give you 1 room. And so they take...
No, but what he said was there's a mortician conventions and, they're a stiff group. I'm like, that was such a great pun.
They're a pretty rigid group. Yeah, it was so good. And he gives them the key to their room. I can't remember what the number was. Just know that their room is, of course, right next door to Beth and Luis. Okay.
What I don't understand is this is supposed to be a luxury resort. Most times these rooms have an ability to have multiple people sleeping and not be in the same bed.
Right.
Or they'll get another bed and roll it in.
Yeah, you can get a rollaway bed in pretty much anywhere. Yeah. You can get a rollaway bed anywhere. They just decided not to do that.
They don't have those in Bermuda.
Apparently not.
It's not an option on that island.
At the luxury resort. And also, honestly, let's be real. Like, we're grown-ups. This is a king-size bed. If you can't stay your ass on your side of the bed, come on now. Really, grow up.
And they have a couch. Normally, those couches are beds.
Yeah, they usually pull out. Yeah, no, this resort, it sucks. Like it's not.
They needed to go back to the Crane Resort. That's what it is.
They
Yeah.
do usually pull out. Zombie Charity's hoping Miguel won't, but those beds do.
Oh my God. That the way you said that in such a like deadpan. So good.
Love it.
So
That
good.
was so good.
She's hoping he won't pull out. Oh gosh. Okay. So she brought the condom for a reason. We're not doing no rhythm method around here.
No. But what would suckabye babies be like?
Suckabye baby.
Deep
Sounds like a song.
baby in the depths of hell. Like, what would those babies be like? Ugh, I don't think I want to find out.
I feel like they look like mandrakes from Harry Potter.
Okay, so they go to the hotel. Both sets of couples get their keys to their rooms and let the near misses begin.
I was about to say, as bad enough as it already is, we gotta add in near misses.
Yeah, the very first one is they get there and Luis and Beth get on the elevator, and Diana and Antonio are about to get on the elevator as well, and Diana's calling to hold the elevator. They try to hold it, but the door's closed. They miss it, of course, right? So that happens. Then Billy the bus boy, or whatever you call them, bellboy, Billy the bellboy actually sees Diana / Sheridan, right? And he's like, I think I just saw a ghost. And he explains to some random patron about what happened to Sheridan while she was there. And later, he has a conversation with Luis where he's like, yeah, you must be happy to have your lost love back, or your old love back, or I think he says lost love.
Yeah, lost love.
And Luis is like, oh, you must mean Beth. Why would he mean Beth?
And how would a stranger know anything about Beth without meeting Beth?
That's it. That's the question.
Yeah.
He did question that after the fact. He's like, wait, how would he know about Beth? So at least he did question it, because I wrote it in my notes. And then he questioned it. I'm like, oh, okay, at least he's also wondering, like, how do you even know Beth? Or the fact that me and Beth used to date.
Yeah, like, why do you? I guess this hotel does extensive research on their guests before they show up. Right? So
at some point, does Sheridan like fall asleep or something? She start dreaming again?
Yeah, she always falling asleep and dreaming.
First of all, that bears repeating. First of all, they have those conversations again about where are you gonna sleep. If I were Brian, I would have said, "What does it matter? You sleepwalk anyway, so I'll find you in the elevator."
Right? You're not gonna be sleeping in the bed anyway.
Yeah. Two. At one point, she has some kind of dream and she thinks she's making out with Luis or something, and then she says, "Oh, I thought I was." No, she's like, my lover. And in the dream, that Brian dream person's like, your lover is dead.
Yes!
I'm your lover now.
Oh my God. And then she wakes up and she's like, oh, maybe it was a sign. Girl, that was a nightmare.
That was a nightmare.
It made me think of, what's funny, it makes me think of Nightmare on Elm Street. Freddy Krueger says, I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy.
Yes. What were you
I'm your
Maria?
boyfriend now.
I was gonna say, like, even before like the sleeping and stuff, it was a really creepy, cringy moment where she's like, well, we're gonna sleep, and he literally carries her and throws her on the bed.
Yeah.
Like, if someone that I was like not that interested in, like, just grab me and pick me up, almost looking like he was gonna start to like initiate, so that was such a cringe moment.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, what are you doing? Leave her. Like, stop.
Mackenzie Westmore had a great acting moment at that point because she looked aloof. She looked like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Like, this is weird.
Yeah.
He's like, I always wanted to do this. Like, what?
Yeah, it was so weird. He's a weirdo.
Tuck you into bed?
Yeah. And so, there's a lot of awkwardness in both rooms about where everybody's going to sleep, who's going to sleep where, whatever. Brian ends up sleeping on the couch. Diana ends up sleeping in the bed. Luis and Beth end up sleeping in the bed together, which makes sense, right?
And Beth showed up in a negligee.
Oh,
she
y'all,
looked fantastic.
Beth came ready for action. I'm gonna tell y'all that right now. She was pulling out her.
You know she got those condoms.
Yeah, she was pulling out. Oh no, Beth trying to get pregnant. She didn't bring condoms.
She poked holes in those demon condoms.
No, Beth absolutely is trying to baby trap Luis.
And we know she's capable.
Yeah, we know exactly what she's capable of. And yeah, so they end up sleeping in the bed together. But Luis and Sheridan both cannot sleep. They both get up simultaneously, walk out to the balcony, their balconies that are adjacent to one another, right? And stand out there. Sheridan, or Diana, should I say, goes, "Starlight, star bright, first star I see tonight. Wish I may, girl, grow up." I can't stand her. I'm sorry. And so
she can't remember anything, but she remembered that little nursery rhyme. Little
ridiculous. She does that, and then Luis also does it. Like, at one point she hears his voice, realizes it sounds familiar, and because he says, "Oh, I wasn't trying to spy on you or anything. I'm so sorry. I was just out here, looking at the stars." And she says nothing back to him and just goes back to her room and is like, "That voice, it sounded so familiar." Well, girl, maybe say that to him.
Hello?
Yeah.
Who's there?
Yeah. Find out what's going on.
Looking for signs about your past. The one moment you actually hear a familiar voice, you're not going to go and talk.
I'm telling you, Diana sucks. She's terrible. Sheridan would never.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sheridan would have climbed over the balcony and been like, "Hey, who are you?"
Yeah, you sound familiar. Why do you sound so familiar to me? She was an investigator, But they have really nerfed her. She's really a shell of her former self. So yeah, she doesn't say anything. She goes back into the room and tries to go back to sleep, but she can't. Same for Luis, and they end up both going for a walk out on the beach. Of course, because they can't sleep. There's some message in the bottle nonsense. Anybody want to take that?
I know it. I just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Luis finds that bottle that he sent that message to Sheridan in, except the message is no longer in the bottle. And he thinks maybe Sheridan found the message, but then he's like, "No, I'm just being crazy. This is just a bottle. This isn't the same bottle that I sent to Sheridan." Meanwhile, Sheridan is reading that same damn letter on the beach and like crying, like, "This is real love. That's true love." Whatever.
And then she actually assumes maybe this is from my dead lover. Girl, it's just a random note in a bottle.
Yeah, right, it's such a reach.
And then she's like, "Oh, it can't be him. He's dead." How do you think maybe that note was written? Like, it could have been before he died?
Also, if it can't be him, he's dead. Why are you constantly trying to like find him or find connections to him? If you really think he's dead, girl, stop with the "he's dead." You don't know anything. I will continue to say, I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. I will say it until this woman remembers her fucking name. She does not know her name. You don't know anything. If you don't even know your own name, the simplest things of your own personality and identity, you don't know anything. You can't trust anything, right? In your memory. So yeah, baby, you cannot trust that man is dead because you had one little mixed up memory. That's it. And every other memory you've had are of him being alive.
Yes.
Right? What were you going to say, Uche? You were going to say something.
I don't know.
Okay, that's fine.
Something about this damn bottle, but it don't matter.
I was going to say, they call her. They call her Stacy. They call her Diana. That's not her name.
That's not my name. That's not my name. That's not my name. Yeah, so whatever, stupid ass bottle stuff. And y'all, it's exasperating. I don't care about this.
Oh,
skip it.
I was about to say the next bit is pretty much the same thing. It's all about initials.
Yeah.
It's about,
oh my God. Luis thinks he sees Luis. Yeah, he like writes some initials in the sand.
LLF and SC forever.
Right, which is the same thing that he had like drawn on the appear in harmony, and it's the same thing that Sheridan had, and the same thing that Sheridan had drawn like subconsciously on the beach on St. Lisa's Island last week. He then thinks he sees Sheridan. This was so annoying. He thinks he sees Sheridan. It's just a random blonde woman who's like, lucky. I wish I was that woman you were looking for. And I was like, me too, girl.
The amount of people trying to jump onto Luis Lopez-Fitzgerald and I mean, like you said, we gave him time to grieve too. I think we're all Hank now. We're just kind of like, okay, just let loose.
Yeah.
Go forget about stuff for just 5 seconds.
Let loose. Luis, let loose. Okay, so yeah, he thinks he sees Sheridan. He doesn't. He just sees some horny woman on the beach by herself. And then Beth, not Beth. Well, yes, Beth finds him and they flit back off to the room. Basically, she asks him if he wants to go home, and he tells her, no, I need to stay here to like face my demons and so that I can move past all of this. I don't know how this is going to really be therapeutic for him, but whatever. To each their own. Sheridan, meanwhile, is on the beach and she finds those like initials, but they're they get like washed away. She sees only a part of it. Brian shows up and is like, oh my goodness, what are you doing out here? And she's like, oh, I just couldn't sleep. And then she looks down and realizes the initials are there. And she sees them being washed away. And she's like, no.
Yeah.
She gets so upset.
She acts Diana does not know how waves work, like that when water hits up against sand. She was like, what happened? It's like the laws of physics and nature. I don't know. Yeah, she is so irritating. But yeah, she's like, no, that could have been a key to my past. Girl, it was a random drawing in the sand. Why would you think that's a key to your past? And if you saw it, it wouldn't do anything. It wouldn't trigger anything because you literally saw your own name in print in the newspaper and you did not know anything. It didn't mean anything. You went to Harmony. She was on the Crane grounds and nothing came to her.
And she saw those initials that Luis vandalized the pier with. Right. She just was like, oh, that's so pretty. That's so nice. They must love each other.
She sure did. Yeah. So girl, this little sand drawing wasn't about to do anything. Your brain does not work and it's not going to work until you see Luis. So y'all passions writers, y'all can stop it with this bullshit with me. Okay. I've had enough. I've had it officially.
But it's not over. It's not over because then Luis goes to the tree with the little plaque.
Yeah.
Which is supposed to be in memory of Sheridan or people that gets lost at sea, but he's not going to put her name on it. It's just going to be a random type of memorial because, of course, we can't have it say Sheridan.
I was so confused by this when I was watching it, and I almost rewound, but I really don't give a fuck.
LeTara said, I'll show passion. I'm not rewinding that.
I'm not rewinding this. No, because I saw Luis like looking at the plaque, and then I was like, okay, did he put that there for Sheridan? It was like, for my lost love is what the plaque said. It was like on a random little tree that looked like it might be dying. And then when Brian shows up and Sheridan sees it, she's like, oh, I feel like a connection to this. Maybe this was for me. And Brian's like, oh, this is a custom of the locals. They put these plaques up for people who were lost at sea. So I was confused. Was that one that Luis specifically put up for Sheridan, or is it just one that the locals had put up? Anybody?
I think it was the one that Luis did, but he did it because this is a local tradition and someone probably told him about it.
Okay.
But the best part
looking for ways.
The best part of that whole scene is when she steps into his footprint and found a connection because sand.
Oh my God. Yeah, she's like, I feel a connection to this footprint. Girl!
Hey, maybe it was a religious experience. Jesus walks in with you. And...
yeah, those are Jesus's footsteps. It's like, I'm carrying you, the Jesus thing. Oh, yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, she steps in that footprint. She's like, why do I feel such a connection to this footprint? And for once, I'm actually kind of sort of on Brian's side. He's like, girl,
hey, it's because of Diana that I go to every gazebo I see and I check to see if I can remember anything about any potential love at all.
Yeah.
So you've never had amnesia.
Yeah.
Well,
maybe
who knows?
I forgot.
Maybe I
had
forgot.
amnesia.
Exactly. How do I know if I've never had amnesia or not? Right? Based on Passion's logic. Yeah, my notes literally say something about a plaque that says for the love I lost, something about a footprint that Sheridan feels connection to.
That's about it. That's
And
about it,
that's
honestly.
and that's that.
Yeah. And then and then my next note is there's a conversation between Diana and Brian that I simply cannot hear. There is no sound. Same with Luis and Beth, no sound, but I can figure out what they are probably talking about.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
It's interesting how we actually are feeling a little bad for Beth, but we show no sympathy for Brian.
No, he sucks. Well, and there's a big difference between Brian and Beth, because Beth has so much history with Luis. She actually knows him, and she knows she actually was in love with him and loves the person he is. Brian met Sheridan when she was knocked out, and when she woke up, she didn't know anything about herself, and that made him fall in love with her. And that in and of itself is disgusting to me. It's just so icky, right? Like, Beth has more grounds for hoping that her and Luis can make a life together, far more so than Brian does. And also, he's just an irritating person. And yeah, so my next note is something about a song. Something about a song that Sheridan danced with her lost love. And then my other note is Beth and Luis. That's all it says. So we're just going to leave it at that. Unless y'all know what they were talking about. I don't either. So it'll probably come up again. I think she was dancing to a song and was like remembering that she knew that song because she danced to it with her lost love. And Luis also was hearing the song and probably was like having memories of Sheridan. That's what I imagine is going on there. So anything to add before we move on to our final two little things?
Nope.
All right, y'all. It's time to get into a little troubled marriages, a little DNA testing going on in Harmony. So
the DNA test said that so is the father.
Yeah, you are not the father.
I wrote this down. I was like, in the case of John Hastings, Grace, you are the mother.
You are not the mother. And Grace just goes running off. But on stage, the camera got chasing her down. Truly, I really do wish the same way they did the Larry Winger, Jerry Springer thing. I wish they would have done a Maury thing with either this or with like when we have like the Teresa surrogate stuff. You know, like I just think that would have been so funny.
Could have been on Laurie's show.
Exactly. I know Maury Povich would have done it. I know he would have. Yeah. So, all right. Let's talk about this. First, we have a conversation between TC and Eve, where TC is questioning why Sam would want to talk to Eve as a suspect in Julian's murder case. He's like, why should you give a statement, honey? You're perfect. There's no reason that you would have wanted to kill Julian. I mean, except for because you were upset for me, but that's not a real motive. And then they switch over to the conversation of the DNA test for John, right? And the majority of this episode, like, oh my God, a murder has happened in this town and nothing is being done about it.
Not a damn thing.
Nobody cares.
And that's the funny thing too, like about TC being like, oh, like why would what's his name? Oh Lord Jesus. I forgot
John.
His name. No. Yeah, Sam. Why Sam would want like a statement? He's got statements from everybody, every single person, because everybody was around. Everybody was pissed off at Julian. So it makes sense. Like TC, this is not even common sense. Like this is just normal.
Yeah.
Normal. And also, he's like, you barely knew Julian. Isn't it like a small town and she's a doctor and he's like on the board? Like
that.
She worked with him. Yeah.
And she's been at the mansion so many times on invitation of Eve because, you know, she throws these parties and they're always invited. So all of a sudden, like, oh, you barely know Julian.
Yeah.
Julian.
Yeah, because it's been years since they've started having contact with Julian, on the show. And like you said, they had a extensive contact at the hospital where he was on the board, and they were like constantly at board meetings and stuff. So yeah, she had every reason to hate Julian as much as anybody else, But TC's not a thinker, as we know. He's not a thinker. So they go over to the Bennett home, where they have conversation around John and the DNA test, and Eve tells TC, it's gonna kill Grace to find out that John isn't her son, and TC's like, you talk as if you know. You talk as if you know. If y'all know what that's from, it's Cinderella. Anyway, I do not know that this is so. I only just suppose.
Sorry, I was the king in that show. I had like the weirdest fucking song in that whole damn thing.
Oh, I love Cinderella. I wish I've never been in Cinderella. I would have loved to be one of those stepsisters.
Oh, you'd kill it.
The stepsisters are so fun. They're the best characters.
Yeah. So anyway, back to passions. Sorry. Yeah, he says you say that like you know that John isn't Grace's son, and she's like, oh no, I'm just saying, if it turns out that that's the case, she is gonna kill her. And so all through the first few episodes, Eve keeps fielding phone calls from Ivy, who is trying to get her to tamper with these results over and over again.
I hope Kim had a doctor's appointment or something, because I hate when they do this, that they're like talking to somebody on the other line and they're not there.
Yeah.
But part of the main cast, I get it if it's a henchman number 4 or drug dealer number 2, like I get it. But Kim, just call in from your, I don't know.
Yeah, it would have been nice to have her.
Like,
yeah, it was really. Yeah. It was just really Eve, that actress, saying things that made us understand that she was talking to Ivy. Yeah. So she refuses over and over again to change these DNA results. She has decided, she's firm on her decision at this point, pretty much. Meanwhile, Sam and Grace have a conversation where Grace, for once, considers the possibility that John might not be her son, and that she says, maybe I did foolishly just take David at his word. Maybe I was a fool to take David at his word. Sam was like, what? Let me get it. Like, he was like, yeah, maybe you did just foolishly take him at his word.
Because she did. I'm still flabbergasted at this woman not just being like, you know what? Yeah, let's double check.
Right.
I get the emotional tie behind it, the idea that you really hope that this kid is your kid. But it came out of left field. You didn't even know you were married. I don't know. We've done this already many times throughout the season, but it is really frustrating when she's like, I know in my heart, and I want those DNA tests now.
Yeah.
It's a little much.
Yeah.
It's like, send a messenger because I need to know now.
Yeah, right? It was crazy. So TC and Eve, they are at the Bennett home, and at one point, Eve tells Grace that she's considering telling TC the truth and saying that it's all going to come out eventually. And Grace is like, and it's crazy because Grace has been the main one, like, needling at Eve, like, you need to tell your husband the truth. You need to tell your husband the truth. And now all of a sudden she's like, how would he know? Julian is dead. Like, she's like, there's no reason for you to tell him Julian's dead. Now little Miss Sunshine, little Miss Holier Than Thou is all fine with Eve continuing to tell this lie to her husband. I just wanted to note that. And so Eve tells Grace that the DNA results will not be ready until the morning because it's the middle of the night, y'all. It's
like what is gonna make a difference? What, 12 hours? Really?
If that. Because Charity and Kay had like gone to bed. Right? Like, it's bedtime. It's after 10 p.m. It's after 9 p.m., 10 p.m.
There was so much inconsistency in here because specifically at some point they're like, it's late, it's getting late. When Kay shows up, Tabitha's like, what are you doing here at this hour? But then also at some point when Charity shows up with Miguel, he's like, oh, let's go get some cocoa. So I'm like, I don't know.
What
it made it sound
time
like they
is
were
it?
gonna leave. It made it sound like it was. I was under the assumption that it was probably like midnight,
Mhm.
11 midnight.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Me too, which makes this next thing so crazy. Eve tells Grace the DNA results won't be ready until the morning. And Grace is insistent, saying, "Can't you just call them back and tell them that you need the results tonight?" And I wrote in my notes, "Baby, that's not how it works." But
Yeah.
apparently, that is how it works.
Yeah.
Because Eve calls them back and they say, "Yeah, we'll have them messengered over to you right away." So I guess you can just put a rush order on your DNA results.
Again, this is early 2000s. I mean, this is not
Yeah, like,
DNA and me or
how?
Ancestry. Like, this is. And Harmony Hospital, I'm impressed they had the technology to do this.
Yeah. I mean, in 2002, it probably would have taken them weeks to do this.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Yeah.
had to send it off to a lab and
Right.
then get it back.
Yeah. So then there's conversation between Grace. I mean, sorry, not Grace. Ivy. Ivy shows up because she gets a phone call from somebody, I guess like one of her henchmen, that the DNA results are gonna be in soon and they're gonna be opening them up over at the Bennett home. So she rushes over there under the guise of saying she was there to check on the Julian murder case.
So, two things. One, the fact that she showed up, I would have been like, guilty.
Yep.
Yeah.
Guilty. She has
Of everything.
Why is she here?
Yep.
Why is she here right now?
Yeah.
Second, I will give her that was a good ploy. The Julian murder thing, very clever. Still, I would have been like, guilty.
Guilty.
Yeah. Because also you are one of the prime suspects.
Exactly. I would have been like
That's
guilty on
murder.
all charges.
Yeah.
Guilty on all charges, the DNA and on the murder.
Yeah.
You're going to jail, girl. 100%. I'm
Let's
with you.
roll that little wheelchair up into the wagon.
Yeah, into the paddy wagon.
Make sure it's wheelchair accessible.
Yeah, exactly. We got one just for you, girl. Yeah. So Ivy comes over. She tries to strong arm Eve in person, right? Over and over again. And over again, Eve tells her, "Get fucked, Ivy." I loved it. I loved it every time. She was like, "No, I'm not going to protect you at all." Because she tries to do it under the guise of like, Grace deserves to, like, do you really want to hurt her? And you want to protect your friend? And Eve tells her, "You know what? My friend deserves to know the truth, and I'm not going to protect you at all, Ivy. Get fucked." Yeah.
I appreciated that so much, and I thought it was great that Ivy tried every method in the book. Ivy threatens Eve. At some point, she's like, they're going to find out that Saint Eve is nothing but a slutty fraud, which I thought was great.
Yeah.
But again, Eve just didn't take any of that bait. And it's interesting. I love the three-dimensionality that they gave Eve here, because she is like, no, I'm standing firm. I'm not doing this. But we see her being like, God, I'm gonna hurt Grace, and my future, I'm gonna have to just, like, there's so much that Eve is having to do.
She's
God
struggling.
bless the actress.
Yeah.
She did a great job.
She's definitely struggling with this decision. She's 100% when she talks to Ivy about it, but when we see her, we can see that she really is waffling on it, and that it's going to be a tough choice for her. But I love every time she tells Ivy, like, "No, I'm not doing this for you. I'm going to tell them the truth," you know? And I had hope for her. I did back in the day, but I know what's coming down the pipeline, right? Like, I know where this is going. And so she and David then, like, have a conversation where they commiserate about how evil Ivy is, and I love that.
They bond over. They are in the same place. I like that there's no, at least what we saw this week, it didn't look like Eve had a lot of animosity towards him. She was just like, we're both screwed. Like,
Yeah.
I understand why you're not, like, you just gotta wait and see if we die together.
Yeah.
And at one point she says something hysterical, which is she says something like, "What are you waiting for? What are you doing?" To which Eve's like, "I don't know. I'm hoping maybe she gets hit by a truck or something."
Yeah. It was so funny to me too that at one point Eve, because Eve really doesn't want to have to like do this, right? At one point Eve was saying to him, you could just come clean and then we don't even have to do this. And then he turns around, he's like, you could too. Like neither one of them wants to be the one, right? To tell the truth. Yeah, so
how funny. It is funny to, like you said, to watch them commiserate with one another because they're in the same boat.
Yeah, they're both too scared, and they're both too scared to tell the truth. So Tabitha and Timmy show up.
Everybody's there.
Yeah.
Everybody's there.
It's a party.
Yeah, a DNA results party.
Except for Jessica.
Yeah,
because we still don't know where she is.
Where is she? I bet she's on an overnight shift at the B&B.
That's about to say, she is washing and folding towels. They're ringing that bell. She's running around like an idiot over there.
They got her over there doing third shift night audit.
Child labor laws being violated.
She needs to give herself, at this point, she is running. She is the CEO. She is the janitor. She is the manager. She all of the things. Like, I think her mom just shows up to take the money out the cash.
Right. Yeah. Poor little Cinderella. Am I right? Jeez.
Well, that's when Kay shows back up and she's like, why is everybody here at my house? And what's his name? John. He's like, oh, hey, he looked, it was heartbreaking. He looked so happy to be like, hey, I'm going to find out if I'm Standish, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, he was like, we're gonna officially be half siblings, and she was like, oh right, yeah.
Kay
another one.
The actress,
she's like another one, right?
Yeah, the actors I don't give a fuck anymore. Yeah, come on in. Ethan's here. Charity's here.
Now you, sure. What's another one?
Our family just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
So Tabitha and Timmy show up. Yep. Kay comes back. Everybody's in this living room waiting on these DNA results. They show up. Eve gets them. And then she gives a speech and stalls the opening, right? I can't remember what it was. It wasn't important. It's just that she's stalling for time. And then as she's about to open it, David gives a speech. I do remember what his speech was about. It was about how great Grace is and how nice and lovely Grace is. So he's just stalling for time before the results come out. And Grace at one point is like, I know. Oh, Lord. Grace is so annoying. Grace is like, I know that you're telling the truth, David, because God wouldn't take another child from me. God wouldn't take another son from me.
That was hard.
Here's my problem with that. Girl, God killed every single firstborn of Egypt. You think God won't take one more son from you? Are you kidding? God told Abraham to kill his son. God, you think God flooded the earth and saved only two of every animal? You think God, I don't know. I know maybe this is
sacrificed his own son for everybody. Okay.
Yeah, he said, get on up there on that cross, buddy. Yeah, he did. You're right about that, God. So God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life.
Preach.
Look, and Eric's bringing out his cross.
In the name of the Father, and the
Son,
and the Holy Spirit. Amen. So, girl, I don't know what church Grace go to.
The one with Father Lonigan as.
Yeah, he's not teaching them shit. He's not teaching them anything.
Ow! He's blind.
That was funny.
But also, how insensitive to say that to Eve. Lost a child.
Yes.
Yeah.
She knows about that.
Yeah.
Like, how would God take another child away? You know, you lost a child. Eve lost a child. Maybe let's not talk about kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up this section, I do want to say there was a DNA test that did get performed this week. There was evidence of something, and I don't know if y'all noticed this, but at one point, John asked for a second piece of tomato soup cake. And that right there, I would have been like, he's my kid.
Grace was like, that proves it. That's what she
That
said.
proves
She was like,
it.
that proves it. You want another piece of tomato soup cake. So did Miguel. Is he your son?
I would have
Right.
got the DNA test results and tore them up. I'm like, my kid loves
I don't
my
need
tomato
this.
soup cake. I
We
don't need
this test. Like in
There's
that
an
episode of the Golden Girls.
where it's basically, yes! Which still leaves us thinking, is Dorothy really Sophia's daughter?
Yeah,
But,
it's up in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's really the end of things. They're just stalling for time. No DNA has come out. Y'all got anything to add to this before we move
Well,
on?
maybe
to the
some
little
DNA will come out over with Charity and Miguel.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
It's definitely going to need a black light on those sheets.
Yeah. This is a raunchy episode.
It is. When you get the four of us together, we're going to go there.
It's a mess.
I love this. I love it. I love it. I love it.
I have nothing for this section. We're
All right. Well, let's finish it up with Teresa and Ethan and what's going on with these people.
Teresa
you know-
and Ethan.
Yes.
But I have to do the usual. No Gwen this week.
Yes.
No Gwen this week.
God.
There's no Gwen, y'all.
But I was sad. I wanted some Rebecca too, because in my YouTube clips, her little thumbnail was walking around and it didn't come around. And I really was hoping for some Rebecca.
Y'all, honestly, so I really wanted to do this panel and do the last episode of the season, 696 through 700, because I really wanted to end on like a nice round number.
Yeah.
But honestly, we probably should have done it last week. There was so much Teresa, Rebecca, Ivy. There was so much of that last week, and I kind of wish I had done it. I kind of forced it to this. I ended up like sacrificing so much this week to try to get us on this together for these episodes, and they were kind of nothing. Yeah. But I will say, I do think if the four of us were discussing last week's episodes, the episode would be 5 hours long.
I am very impressed with us right now. I keep looking at the time going, way to go, Team Passions.
We're doing great.
Yeah, and so I think this is good because it gives us all time to like talk and share, and the episode's not going to be like crazy long, because there wasn't a lot to get through. There wasn't, and that's good. This was good. So you know what? It all worked out.
It worked out. It worked out.
It all worked out. Okay, so let's talk about what's going on here. Teresa and Whitney are in the book cafe. Remember, because last week, Teresa told Whitney, Whitney, I think there's a way that I can trick the demon at the end of this plan, and I won't have to go all the way through with this plan, and I can turn the tables on the demon. And as soon as she said that, the lights go out, the wind starts blowing around, and these two giant, like, I said cat eyes last week because they looked like yellow glowing cat eyes. Glowing.
We got Bugs Bunny eyes. We got Little Rascal eyes, like racist little eyes. Like, it was weird. I'm like, all the effects, y'all are way better than that. And Passions is bad, but could have been better.
The eyes were glowing, and the two of them are cowering, and Whitney has turned on Teresa entirely. She's like, this is your fault. You made a deal with the devil, and now the devil is coming to take you to hell.
It's like the girls from Scary Movie. She was like, get her, not me. Like,
and then Chad and Ethan come in, and Chad's like, don't worry, people, we'll get the lights back on as soon as possible. And he goes, the power comes back on. The power comes back on, and the eyes go away. And Ethan and Chad come over and see the girls are like visibly shaken and like, what's going on? And they explain to them what they saw. And Chad says, oh, well, the power went out. And was this what you saw? And he picks up like this book with little glowing dragon eyes. Those eyes were 1/10 of the size of the eyes we saw, right? So they obviously were not.
They were like this big. Like, they were big eyes.
Yeah, they were huge. They were the size of like my head, right? So, no, but Teresa is fine with. She's like, yeah, that's the explanation. Great. I'm fine. Everything's
Uche,
fine.
is this what I meant when I put Whitney ran out crazying?
No.
No.
Oh, God,
further along.
When we get there, I will tell you. So,
And I spelled crazying. I don't know what.
because she was crazy crying. That's probably what it was.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay. I made a
that's
combo
probably
word.
what it was. So Chad gives the explanation of the book, and Teresa's ready to just like take that explanation, but Whitney is not. She's like, no. What about that wind? Where'd all the wind come from? And he was like, oh, it was probably just a short circuit in the ventilation system. Huh? Wouldn't a short circuit make it not work?
Yeah.
Blow more. Like, wouldn't it make it not work? But again, Teresa's like, oh, that's perfect. Look, Whitney, it wasn't about my demon. It wasn't about my deal with the devil. It was just a short circuit in the ventilation system, and it was just, that book, and everything's gonna be fine, right? Whitney's not so sure. Whitney's still like, I don't know, girl. That was too weird, especially and too convenient of the timing. It was right after you said that thing about tricking the devil, and that happened.
And I do think that Teresa knows that it really was that, but is trying to like shut Whitney up about it. Like, stop talking. It basically is like, stop talking about it, Whitney. Yes, I made a deal. Yeah, that's a demon.
That definitely could be. I personally take it to be Teresa's delusion, right? Because she's just so delusional in general, and she thinks that anything she's gonna do is always gonna work out. And so if she gets, all she needs is a little bit of validation in her delusion, and she's good to go. And she got that. And so it's like, no, it couldn't possibly be the devil. It's what Chad said.
And listen, this is why Tabitha's so hyper-focused on Charity and Miguel, because when it comes to like fucking with all the people in Harmony, all she needs to do is say one reassured thing to Teresa, and then she don't need to check on that storyline for about like 8 months.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Absolutely. So
she reads her tarot cards, and then she's like, all right, you're good. All right, next.
Good to go. Here's your leaves.
What do I gotta do?
Yeah. So Teresa's feeling good about the explanation. Whitney's not feeling so good about it, but it is what it is. When they leave, those eyes do kind of come back and it changes form. So we learned that, yes, that explanation was not the truth. There really was some kind of like supernatural thing going on. So at this point, they all decide to head over to the recording studio.
I'm laughing too because I was reading my notes and I'm like, what does this mean? And it said something, Chad and Ethan are having a conversation and they say something about evil came for you. And someone was like, there's no evil. To which I wrote, where's the Bennett house, bro?
Right.
How they all forget that there's totally fucked up shit that happens in Harmony all the time.
Eventually they hopefully will all come around and realize that like these things are possible. These first few years, they all are so constantly in denial, even though they're constantly getting hard proof that these things exist. But yeah, they're like, there's no evil. What do you mean there's no evil? What are you talking about? Remember when the wall started bleeding?
You had, what was it? The thing of crows?
And a murder of crows and a unkindness of ravens. Yeah. Yeah. So they, at this point, the whole group heads over to the recording studio because remember, Chad has gotten permission from Ivy and Teresa to use this random recording studio that they have had in the Cranes own in Harmony, with up-to-date equipment. They have a contract with a recording engineer who comes in every single year and updates the equipment for some reason. I last week when I was talking to my niece about it, I said that I believe that Julian probably bought this for Eve, right? That's what makes the most sense. And it's kind of a memento for him. He's hanging on to it because they were like, why does he still have it? And I think it's because it's one of our earlier clues that Julian really was in love with Eve and still in love with Eve.
Thank you for pointing that out. I know it's difficult sometimes, like with an Ivy or a Julian, where we find their humanity. And I I did a Saved by the Bell.
Yeah, again, right now Ivy's on my shit list because of what she did to Whitney. But in general, with Ivy and Julian, there's a lot about them as characters that I like. You know what I mean? And with Julian, it is nice to see those little moments of like humanity and those, and it is also nice to see them kind of sprinkling in this like idea that Julian had a great love, right?
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that, because as I remember it, I'm like, why hasn't this come? Like, we're getting the seeds, like you said, because I now looking back on it, remember it as a constant, and it was not a constant.
Oh yeah.
So like, I look back on it and I'm like, I remember him like drinking whiskey and hearing my baby's gone. Like that is my memory of like, it's always there. And in this rewatch, I have realized it's not here yet. Like I'm not getting enough of it yet.
Right. It's not overt. It's very subdued. You really got to be watching for it, and it's just in tiny little moments, tiny little sprinklings where you see something light up in him. There was the first time I saw it was when Eve said to him, "I loved you." And he was like, "You were in love with me?" He realized, I think for the first time, that they were in love with each other.
Wow.
Yeah. All right, but they're not even in this.
No, but I appreciated it. Thank you. It was the season finale, right? We have to. We're wrapping up all the things with bows.
So they go over to this recording studio. When they get there, Ethan like thanks Teresa for doing all of this for Chad, even though she didn't do anything. She just said yes. Like it's not like she did all that much.
And then later she's like, "See, me and Ethan make a great team. What did you guys do? What do you mean?" Like,
I don't know.
You found out that Ethan said that the Cranes had that, and then you were like, "Yeah, I'll open the doors."
Yeah, yeah. He thanks her. He gives her a hug for what she did, and
warm embrace.
And and Teresa, like Maria just said, says to Whitney, "See, this is what I want to do with the Crane money. I want to do good for people. I can appreciate that, and I do believe that when Teresa says that. And I think that I might be remembering this wrong, but I think she does, like, once she does get the money and get the power, she does start to do a lot of philanthropic work. Yeah. If I remember correctly, I might be wrong, but I think she does.
What I wrote down there was Teresa said, "Did you see that?" And Whitney's like so down to earth. She's like, "How can Chad start a music business in Harmony?" And to which I wrote, "Yeah, the birthplace of the Love Noodle and the Lobster Shack."
No, here's the thing. Here's what bothered me about this. So Whitney's very, very bitter. She's like scoffing at Chad. She's like, "How can he start his music empire out of Harmony? He's, it's not like Harmony is LA or New York." And Teresa makes a great point. She's like, you don't have to be in LA or New York to make great music. And people are making music all over the place. Atlanta, Nashville. She names like a bunch of places. And she's like, who's to say that he can't make great music right here in Harmony? I mean, he has a great studio. And she's absolutely right. The reason he needed to be in New York or LA was mostly for the access to studios and musicians and stuff. But if he's gonna be in Harmony and he's using like a digital production app, and people can send him their they can record elsewhere and send him that, he can cut it in. Like he could do a lot in that studio in Harmony. He could do a ton in that studio in Harmony. Will he have to go to New York sometimes or LA sometimes if he's trying to sell his music? Absolutely. But as far as like making the music, he can absolutely do that in Harmony. And so she's just bitter. And Teresa basically says that to her. She's like, she says like, you're just jealous of Chad because he's got the guts to go after what he wants. And all the while you walk around here claiming that all you want is to be a tennis champion, even though that's all that your parents want for you. Whitney denies the allegations, of course, but she's never going to beat the allegations. And then Chad asks Ethan for one more thing. So then at this point, Chad is talking to Ethan and he says, this is great, Ethan, but there's just one more thing that I have to ask you for. And it's a deal breaker, right? And he says he wants Ethan to draw up a contract where the Cranes will receive 20% of any profits he makes from any of the music he makes in the studio.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now,
I wrote a note
will
about
say-
this. I want to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So my opinion on this is, I think it's a great suggestion to have a contract, especially when you're using something that, even though it hasn't been formalized that Teresa really is the wife, since Ethan is trying to contest it, because you want to have it in writing that you are allowed to use this, because they can easily kick you out and steal all of your music and be like, there's no contract. So the fact that he even wants it, he should be doing it for his own protection.
Right.
But 20% is too much, especially when they're not even looking. Let's start negotiating at like 2%.
2%. Yeah.
Exactly. Maria, you said exactly what I was going to say. That's exactly what I was going to say. I was just like, I love the idea that he wants to put a contract in place, that he's allowed to use this space, and that he wants to be, grateful to the Cranes for letting him do this. And yes, a contract would be more so to protect him than the Cranes. But yeah, 20% is crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, these people are billionaires. They don't need that from you.
Exactly.
And see, what I took away from that was, and I don't know what this is going to do to the panel, but when I know
it's going to destroy us.
Yes, pain and suffering will come to all the members of this panel. When I saw that, I was like, Alistair, there's your true heir. Like, that is, like, he's so, like, Chad is so smart and business savvy. Like, he's not like Ethan at all. Like, he is smart. He's street smart. He's business smart. He's worldly. Like, under the context of the guise of which we all know the facts at this point, it would make sense that Chad is a Crane.
Yeah.
Chad Harris is a Crane.
And I'm realizing Ethan is a lawyer. He should have already been talking about a contract. And he's a freaking lawyer.
Yeah.
Ethan is a lawyer the same way that I am a doctor, right? Like, I watch Grey's Anatomy, so I know the codes, but that does not make me a lawyer. Like, Ethan is a lawyer in name only, right? Like, he sucks. As a matter of fact, last week there was a lot of lawyer talk for him, and it was crazy because Teresa gets her lawyer Woody Stumper, and he's like a slick.
He is funny.
Yeah, he's
a great addition to the cast.
I love him. But, he's a slick talking, fast talking, attorney, and I think it was at least 2 times Ethan looks at him and goes, huh? Like, I don't understand what you're saying. I'm confused. It's like, yes, he's talking in circles, but you are supposedly have a sharp legal mind, right? If anybody should be understanding what he's saying, it's you.
Ethan's sharp legal mind stopped at Schoolhouse Rock. I'm just a bill. Like that.
I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill. Yeah.
Sitting here on Capitol Hill.
Yeah.
That's my favorite Schoolhouse Rock.
Yeah.
That one.
I only remember like a few of them. I remember that one. And of course, conjunction. What's your function? I remember that one. And then the one that like really stuck with me was there was a bunch that they did for like times tables. And I remember the threes one. I sing it. I actually sing it.
Is a magic number.
Oh, that's not the one I learned. Oh. No, I learned 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30.
Yeah.
And I still sing it to this day to be like, what's 3 times 8? Like,
did they teach you the trick on your fingers
for your nines? Yeah. My mom taught me that.
Yeah. I still do it.
Me too. Oh my God, I never would have passed that times tables test if I didn't have my little finger test. I would still be sitting in Miss T. Carter's classroom trying to figure out what's 9 times 6. Like, to this day, I would be sitting there like, I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So
I always remember it was just like 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. And also, if you notice, when you times anything by 9, the product, if you add it, it always ends up with 9. It's like one of my favorite numbers. And there was a song on this show that was on like PBS or whatever called like Math Square What? I forget. I have to look it up. And
Y'all
they
are
had
melting my mind. What do you mean 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1?
So if you look at like, okay, so you start like, so 9 times 1 is 9, right? So it's 0, 9, right?
Okay.
Then if you go down to the next one, 9 times 2 is 18. So 0, 1, 9, 8.
Oh my God.
So it goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9, 8,
and
7,
if you add up the two numbers, they equal 9.
And they
I'm not even gonna edit this out. I'm gonna leave this in for somebody else to learn.
Yes.
No, leave it in because I want everyone to know that this is what's going on at Harmony Hospital right now. This is the DNA test for. They're doing all this math to figure out if Grace and John are related or not.
It's us.
We did it.
We are doing it.
And the answer is inconclusive.
We're the reason why there's no results.
Oh God, that's so funny.
That would be funny if Eve just. I can't remember what she's going to do. I mean, I know that but that if she just goes inconclusive, that just gives her more time.
Yeah. Yeah. Because she had the envelope and is like, when I open this envelope, the results will be 99.9% accurate. Yeah. So I don't know what she's gonna do when she opens that. I don't remember this.
I can't remember. I
Yeah.
can't remember.
Okay, let's talk about these people.
Notice we went back to 9. 99.9%.
Maria, yes.
9. It's the greatest number.
Greatest number.
I wonder why. It's the greatest number. I know the number 9.
There it is.
The greatest number. The number 9 that I've
LeTara, you are so good at improving lyrics.
Honestly, so good. Oh my goodness.
Okay, let's finish this. Oh, listen. Oh my God, Chad and this music. Don't quit your day job. Don't quit your day job, Chad.
If I remember correctly, is this going to be episode 39?
This is going to be episode 40.
Oh, damn.
Okay.
I think. I'm pretty sure I put out 38. I did 39 yesterday. Okay. So this will be 40. Yeah. Dang. Almost.
So close.
So close. Okay. So Whitney's bitter and Chad's talking about this stupid ass contract, and Ethan agrees to draw up the contract. And then Chad plays his music for them. You know what? It was much better than it was last week. Last week he like played it on the laptop and it was horrible. I was like, what is this? But then once he was in the studio, he was like, oh, now I have, I don't know what it was they said thinks he had in the studio that he didn't have on his laptop, because that's not how it works. But I'm not going to litigate it. It's fine. He gets there and there's more sounds. It sounds better. It's a little fuller, but the song itself is still not the best. But he's like, this song, it's not complete without the right singer singing the words and the lyrics. And he says, what about it, Whitney? Will you sing my song for me? Gives her the lyrics. She's reading the lyrics. She's like, these lyrics, they're incredible. This song, it's incredible. And Chad says, since I'm staying in Harmony, you can do both. You can play tennis and you can come to the studio and sing for me sometimes. And you'll have the best of both worlds. But Whitney, what does she do, Eric?
She runs crazily. Or crazery. Crazing.
Yeah, she runs crying from the room.
I looked at those notes and went, well, I know damn sure she didn't pop out of that boat with Sheridan and Antonio. What was I thinking?
That's like my last note too. She runs crying out of the room saying she can't do it. And that's my last note. Y'all have anything to add on that?
I wish that Teresa was a little bit more supportive of Whitney's decisions. Because if she's telling her she's not comfortable doing this singing, stop pushing her to do something she doesn't really want to do. She does love tennis. She's been talking about tennis. Yes, her parents pushed her into it, but don't act like she didn't enjoy doing tennis. Just because she can sing doesn't mean she wants to follow that dream. So back up, you know, because she's one of the best friends you can have, because you have harebrained ideas and she knows that they're harebrained ideas, that they ain't that great, but she still supports you.
Well, Whitney does the same thing.
Still protect her, is what I'm saying. Like, she'll still look out for her and protect her, even if she doesn't agree with what she's doing. Teresa needs to just back off a little bit. She doesn't want to do it. Great.
I think that Whitney and Teresa do similar things in their friendships to each other. Like, I think that personally, I do feel like their friendship is fairly balanced, probably the most balanced of friendship on the show. I do agree right now. Yes,
it leans more towards Whitney being the better friend.
Yes, now. Yeah, for sure. Oh, for sure. I mean, also, Whitney and Chad both, unfortunately, in a lot of ways, exist to support Teresa and Ethan, right?
Yeah.
Like, we do so much of, like, Ethan needs somebody to talk to about Teresa, so he talks to Chad. Teresa needs somebody to talk to about what happened with Ethan, so she talks to Whitney. We do that a lot. Now, what I will say about what Maria just said is that I agree that I think that she should be a little bit, she's too pushy in this whole thing. But I will say, I think we know how pushy Teresa is in general, and Teresa probably knows Whitney better than anybody else. And she was like one of the only people who knew that Whitney loved to sing. Like, she knows that, right? And has heard Whitney sing. And I think she thinks she knows what's best for Whitney. I'm not saying that that's right. I think I know it's coming from a good place. And I think she really is worried. I think she truly is worried that Whitney's gonna make a decision that she's gonna regret for the rest of her life by not going after Chad, not going after the things that she wants to go after, just because she thinks it's gonna disappoint her parents.
Yeah.
Because Teresa, that's where they are very much opposite. Teresa don't give a fuck what Pilar thinks, right? Like, Teresa will listen to her mom, but she will immediately say, "I'm sorry, mama," right? How many times we heard her say that? "I'm sorry, mama, but I have to do this."
Whitney, I didn't mean to hurt you.
Yeah. But Whitney would never say that to Eve, right? Whitney would never look in Eve in her eyes and say, "I'm sorry, mama, but this is something I have to do." But that's not healthy either, right? It's not healthy to just be doing whatever your parent wants you to do just because you're scared of disappointing them. So I do agree with you, Maria. I think she is too pushy, and I think that she should be a little more gentle with Whitney on this. But let me be clear, Whitney's not always gentle with Teresa.
Well, yeah, she's blunt. Well, the thing is, there are two things. It's the same. Is the fact that Chad and Teresa know Whitney so well that they know that the singing thing, there's something that alivens her. Like, there's something that they know creatively, like, she needs, that she's craving. But at the same point, I understand full well why Teresa, you're pushing too hard. Just because you do things your way doesn't mean that Whitney wants to do things the other way. I was also going to say that when I think about super relatives in terms of passions, if I thought, who would my best friend be? Who's the best friend on, like, Whitney is undoubtedly the greatest best friend on this series. With that said, this week we finally saw a flaw in Whitney where she was like, "Fuck you, I'm leaving. Those demons aren't killing me." And I thought I enjoyed that very, very much, because she should preserve herself.
She really turned on her. She said, "You did this."
Said, "This is all you." But I didn't do it. I did it.
So this was so much fun. I hope we will do it again. I have to figure it out. Logistics. It can get a little sticky, but I hope y'all enjoyed it. Did y'all have a good time?
It was incredible. Listen, this podcast has given me so much, from just reaching out, and checking in, and the community on the Discord, and I mean, like when I was looking forward to today. I knew I
Yeah.
had a hard week, and I was like, if I get to today, I'm gonna have a good time, and that's exactly what happened today.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I also was really looking forward to today. I've been thinking about it for a while, and I thought this would be a lot of fun, and I was right. This was so much
It
fun.
is.
This is so much
You know
fun.
what it feels like? It feels like we're doing a watch party,
It does.
Yes. Mhm.
which we all enjoy doing all the time. Except this
Mhm.
time we're talking about the show.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, doing a recording.
Yeah. So if
Yeah.
you were wondering what the watch parties are like, it's like this, except it also gets a little raunchy. You
Which
know?
we did today.
Which we did today. Yeah. So it was so much fun. I'm so glad to have done this with y'all. And so let's start down here with Eric. Where can people find you on the internet if you want them to find
Yeah.
you?
I am Mr. Eric Veta on everything, and I'm in the Discord. I think Maria just told you exactly why you need to be on the Patreon. Like, it is fun to just. I'm finding weird stuff all the time about passions, and then it connects us in so many different ways. I found my old CD player the other day, and I taped a quote from Tabitha onto my CD player. It meant nothing to nobody at the time. But then I'm giving it to my friends via online now, and they're like, "You were obsessed as much as I was." So
Yeah. Yeah.
Maria gave us a great plug. Join the Discord. Get on the Patreon.
And I do want to say that even though I'm going on break after this episode, the Discord will still be active. And I don't want to make any promises, but I had an idea for doing like a murder mystery kind of whodunit
Ooh.
role playing game. I just have to figure like almost like an online Dungeons and Dragons, but it's passions theme.
Okay.
That would
Wouldn't that be
fun.
fun? I just
Yeah.
it's a lot. It would be a lot of work, so I just would need help putting that together. If anybody is interested in helping me put that together, especially if you know about Dungeons and Dragons or role playing games, reach out to me and give me some tips on like the best way to like put together a campaign, because I just think that would be so fun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
the best. And you know what? My brother actually does D&D campaigns with his friends, so I'm gonna be asking him to
Okay,
help.
yes. Ask him about it. Was your brother's name Tony?
No, that's my best friend.
Oh,
My brother's Al.
Al. Yeah, you can call me Al. Yes, Al. Yeah. So Uche.
Alistair?
No,
Ah!
Maria the Crane. Dun dun dun.
I've been pretty this whole time.
All right, Uche, where can we find you online?
So you can find me on Instagram at pinkhaze16 and on TikTok at happily ever Uche.
Yes. And how about you, Maria? If you want to share, you don't have to.
No, it's okay. I am on the Discord, as I've always said. And, I actually started using my old email address. So if you guys want to email me, it's at gwenfan329 at AOL.com. Yes, I said AOL.
Y'all, it's such a throwback. When she sent me that, she was like, "Oh, this is my email." I was like, "Oh." I was like, "Oh, you are for real a Passions fan." Yeah. So I will link all of that in the description. Remember, you can always find me online. Check the link in the description if you want to find me. And with that, you are my passion for life.